In this video, we're going to look at setting up and using layouts. A layout is a tab across the bottom of the drawing. You'll notice we have the Model tab, and then we have three layouts. We have Plan and Detail, Title Block, and Demo Layout. The Model tab is not a layout. Any tab after that would be considered a layout. A layout is a sheet of paper. For example, this one is an architectural D size, 24 by 36. In this one, it is looks like an A size sheet. And then we have the layout demo. So each of these sheets can be set up for a different printer or a different plotter. Okay? For us to get our model to show up on a sheet of paper, we have to create a layout, and on that layout we have to create what we call a viewport. If you go up to your ribbon and go to the View tab, let's go over to the Layout tab. In AutoCAD 2013, they moved the layout tools to its own tab. So this is a little different than earlier versions of AutoCAD. Here we're going to create a rectangular viewport. So I'm going to select rectangular, draw a viewport. It's like drawing a box. Once you draw that viewport, then your model will appear inside of that view. And you can double click inside the viewport and zoom in and out. When you're inside the viewport, you're in an area that we call floating model space. I can double click outside the viewport, and now I'm back on the sheet of paper or the layout. As you switch between model space and paper space, the icon in the corner will change. You'll notice this triangular shape icon is paper space. If I double click inside this viewport, then I get the model space icon. So that'll help you visualize what space you're in. You can create multiple layouts on a sheet. You can have large viewports or small viewports. We can double click inside a viewport and actually set the scale factor of that viewport by going down to our status bar, and we have our Viewport Scale tool, and I could actually set the scale of this viewport, let's say to 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. Now that view is scaled 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. I could go over to this layout or this viewport and set the scale factor to 1/8 also. Or I may want to enlarge it and make a detail. For example, I could zoom into this area, and let's say I wanted it larger than that. Let's say 1/2 inch equals a foot, and you can create a scaled viewport. Now viewports, once they are scaled, must be locked. So right next to your Viewport Scale tool is a yellow padlock. Once you click on that padlock, then that viewport will not zoom or pan. Like this one, if I scroll my mouse wheel, you'll notice that I just changed the scale. It's not locked. So if I reset that to 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, pan it up to where I want it, and lock it, that view is locked. The nice thing about viewports is I can move them around on the sheet. So if I prefer to have that view a little bit lower, I could do that. I can also use my grips to resize the viewport. So if I want it to be a little smaller, you can also use your viewports as a cropping tool. So I could crop that view just a little. Let's say I wanted to bring it down. You can only see that part. So for us to get our model from the Model tab to a sheet, we have to create a viewport. Just to give you another example, I'm going to go to this sheet and create one large viewport, and then you see the entire model on that sheet. The viewport is normally placed on a layer called Viewport or VP. It is a non-plottable layer, so when I place it on this viewport layer, it will not print. And as you go through this particular lesson, we'll talk about putting things on non-plottable layers. Now for me to lock the viewport, I need to double click inside of it, set a scale factor. Let's see if 1/4 inch equals a foot works. That's good. So I'll click on the padlock, lock the viewport. Now I have this sheet ready to print for 1/4 inch equals a foot. Now to create new layout, we would right click on any of the layout tabs, and on the shortcut menu there's an option that says new layout. AutoCAD will create just a generic layout with one viewport. If you want to make copies of a layout, for example, let's say I wanted a copy of this layout, you would drag and drop. While you're dragging, press down on the control key and AutoCAD will make a copy of it. You'll notice it says Demo Layout 2. If I wanted to make another copy, I could drag and drop while holding down the control key. If you don't want a layout, you can actually delete it. Right click on it and select Delete from the shortcut menu. Now keep in mind, once you delete a shortcut, or once you delete a layout, everything is gone on that layout. It does not delete the model and model space. What you're deleting is the title block, the viewport, and any text that you may have on that. You can rearrange your layout by dragging and dropping them to another location. So it's very similar to Excel. So just do a simple drag and drop. In Module 3, we're actually going to create a template file that has our standard title blocks. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to review working with layouts before we get into working with our templates.